little snow doesn't stop the momentum that we've built. This is great to see everybody here. Nikki said to me a couple weeks ago, she said, look, when I come back after Iowa, she said, I want to go north. She said, I want to cover this whole state, help me cover the whole state. I said, okay, we're going to Littleton first. And she said, it will be snowing. I said, oh, it'll be fine. I didn't think it was going to snow this much, but it's great. I said, we're going to come over to Mount Washington. We're going to make an impact. We're going to go to the North Country. I said, the most important thing, and she gets it more than anybody, is that we do the retail politics, person to person. Let everyone ask you a question. Have those real interactions, and not just about doing the big town halls like the other guy does, doesn't answer any questions, gets in his little fancy plane and flies back to Florida. At the end of the day, this is one on the ground here in New Hampshire. Now, we have this amazing opportunity, right? We've seen it before. Right? Forget what, I mean, I think was great, right? There were no expectations really set there. I think he was at, what, 2%? Surged to 20%, challenged DeSantis for second. That was amazing, amazing, amazing. A couple months ago, she was back in single digits here. She surged to 10, 20, 30. Some polls have her in the upper 30s, low 40% right now. This is a one-on-one race. This is exactly what we envisioned and dreamed about back in August, right? Giving America a choice. What is the choice? It's not just a fait accompli for Trump. It's a real choice to say, here's A, here's B. Here's yesterday's news, here's the future. Not just the future of the Republican Party, the future of America. That is what America... But you got to earn it. You earn it with a good candidate. You earn it with a lot of momentum, kind of a movement, right? You can feel this energy, which is really awesome. And you got it, but we got to get out and vote, right? I have a lot of people that say, "Boy, I hope she wins. Are you going to vote?" Yeah, I might. No, whoa. No. This is not a time to sit home and watch the show, everybody. You want democracy? You want this whole process to change because we participate in the democratic process? Get out and vote. Right, the undeclareds, the Republicans, making sure that we have this high voter turnout. Iowa didn't do a very good job of that. Voter turnout was very, very low in Iowa. But here in New Hampshire, we understand what this is all about. And we understand the rest of the country is watching and praying that we get this one right. And from here, where are we going? We're going to South Carolina. It's going to be awesome. So having that head of steam, all of that momentum back into her home state without about a month to campaign before the Republican primary there, she knows how to do it. She knows how to win. And she's kind of taken, again, what she's done here for the past few months that have sent her numbers through the roof, taking that down to South Carolina, again, giving a shot there. And America says, okay, now we got a binary choice. And with that one-on-one race going into Super Tuesday, anything is possible. And all the media, all our friends in the media have joined us here. You were all wrong. They said it couldn't be done. They said it wasn't going to be a one-on-one race. They said that we weren't going to winnow the field down, but we have. We've done it. And now we've not only done that, but we've given ourselves a shot to actually defeat Donald Trump in the Republican primary. It's all about moving forward. That's what we want to see. So whether it is you or your coworkers or your friends, your family, your weird uncles, your crazy cousins, I don't care. We got to get everybody out to vote. The higher voter turnout we have, the better shot we can do this. Now, why are we doing it? Why are we doing it? Why does this matter? Right? Well, it's the president. It matters. But let's get to the heart of it. We need somebody that gets stuff done. Right? Inflation doesn't fix itself. It gets worse when you borrow money, when you build on the debt, when Washington prints money. That's what drives inflation. Trump started it. Biden made it 10 times worse. There's no question about that. But when you borrow $7 trillion with former President Trump, this is exactly what you get. It's terrible, and it's crushing us. I wanted that border secured. I wanted the border secured because fentanyl is coming into this country. Human trafficking is an absolute travesty. He didn't build the wall like he promised us. I wanted fiscal responsibility. We're pretty keen on that here in New Hampshire. We don't like taxes. And the few that we pay, we want to know somebody is treating our hard work, the time we spend away from our families, from our friends, the time we're putting in at work to earn those dollars, and then we hand it over to the government and we pray that they're going to treat it with some respect and responsibility. Hasn't happened in years down in Washington, D.C. Let's elect an accountant. That would be amazing, and that's what Nikki Haley brings to the table. She's balanced budgets in South Carolina. She's created jobs. She's lowered unemployment. She's gotten people off welfare. Right? She put people back to work. That's all results. That's all results-driven stuff. And at the end of the day, she's really just super cool to be with. I mean, there's no doubt, right? She's a mom, wife of a combat veteran, as just this amazing character to look someone in the eye, let them tell their story, right? Let them share their experiences, where the system has worked, where it hasn't, where their families have struggled, where it hasn't. That type of connection, That's what we do here in New Hampshire. That's kind of that live free or die thing. To have a live free or die president that says you come first, not the government. Your business comes first. Your kids come first. We're not here with one-size-fits-all stuff. We're going to let states have more control. We're going to decentralize big government out of Washington. We're going to let New Hampshire have more of a say on its own path and not just have a one-size-fits-all. That's an amazing opportunity. That's how you balance budgets, drain the swamp, and give voters, the citizens, way more power and control over their own destinies. We're a local control state. And I would love to see a locally controlled country, right? But it takes change. It takes getting off the couch, driving forward, and getting behind a candidate that not just has the right vision, not just has an amazing background, but frankly is just an amazing individual. Let's bring her out here. A friend, the governor, the ambassador. Call her what you want. She's going to be the next president of the United States, Miss Nikki Haley.
Thank you so much. I told Chris, I said they came out in the snow. I love that. You guys come on in a little bit more. I know we've got some people in the back. Just love each other and scoot on in. There's room coming in here just so that you can hear. You know, I've got to tell you that I've been campaigning here for 11 months now. And I've forgotten how many town halls we've done, answering every question, shaking every hand, making sure that we're the last one to leave. And Chris would always laugh because I would be like, it is so cold here. And he would be like, this is nothing. This is nothing. Let me tell you, after being in -40 wind chill in Iowa, I will never say that again. I will never say it's cold here because now I have a great appreciation. I know that y'all were waiting on the snow. The snow is beautiful. It looks great, but I know it wasn't necessarily easy for you to get here. So thank you for taking the time to care and to come out. How many of you are hearing me speak in this format for the first time? Yeah, we got a lot of new friends. Good. Well, thank you for coming out. You know, if you look at what's happening in the country, it's not good. And you don't have to turn on the news to see it. You feel it when you go to the gas station. You feel it when you go to the grocery store. We feel it in our mortgage payments. We feel it in our insurance payments. Everything that we have to pay has gone up. We are $34 trillion in debt. We're having to borrow money just to make our interest payments. China owns some of that debt. And I would love to tell you that Biden did that to us. But I've always spoken in hard truths, and I'm going to do that with you tonight. As much as he has, and as reckless as that is, and we can never fall into socialism, our Republicans did that to us too. All you got to do is look at the $2.2 trillion COVID stimulus bill that passed with no accountability, leaving us with 80 million Americans on Medicaid, 42 million Americans on food stamps. That's a third of our country. So we've got to start getting this right. Our kids will never forgive us for it. And so I think it's finally time we put an accountant in the White House to get our economy back on track. Look, how do we do it? The first thing we should do is we should claw back the $100 billion of unspent COVID dollars that are out there. Instead of 87,000 IRS agents going after middle America, let's go after the hundreds of billions of dollars of COVID fraud. 1 out of every $7 was spent fraudulently. If 8% of our budget is interest, quit borrowing. Cut up the credit cards. You have to balance a budget every day. I had to balance a budget as governor, so did Chris. Why is Congress the only group that refuses to balance a budget? We'll stop the spending, we'll stop the borrowing, we'll eliminate any pet projects, and I will veto any spending bill that doesn't take us back to pre-COVID levels. That's the first thing. The second thing we'll do is we'll take as many federal programs as we can and send them down to the state level. That will reduce the size of the federal government, but it will empower people on the ground. Think education, think welfare, think healthcare, think mental health. If we took that down without the strings and allowed states to decide how best to support their communities, we need to do that. The other thing is we've got to make sure that we take care of the middle class. We are watching the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. We need to let the middle class breathe. That's why I want to eliminate the federal gas and diesel tax in this country. I want to cut taxes on the middle class and simplify those brackets. And we want to make the small business tax cuts permanent. They made the corporate tax cuts permanent, but they made the small business tax cuts temporary. Small businesses are the heartbeat of our economy. We can't just say it, we have to act like it. So when we start to do those things, that's how we'll start to get our economy back on track. When it comes to education, we knew in South Carolina, if a child couldn't read by 3rd grade, they were 4 times less likely to graduate high school. Well, right now in America, only 31% of 8th graders in our country are proficient in reading. Only 27% of 8th graders are proficient in math. If we don't do something and do something quick, we're going to be in a world of hurt 10 years from now. And so I want to do what we did in South Carolina. We stopped sending those kids forward if they couldn't read. We started holding them back. We brought in their parents. We did reading remediation, and we set them up for success. We need to do that all over our country. We have to get these kids reading again. There should be complete transparency in the classroom. No parent should ever wonder what's being said or taught to their child in school. That's why we'll put all curriculums online so that every parent can see it. And as parents, we have one job, and that's to do right by our kids. That's why parents should be able to decide where their kids go to school and what mode of education they use. And then let's start building things in America again. Let's put vocational classes back into our high schools. We had apprenticeships all over South Carolina. Let's get our kids to build the things that we're making. That will get them invested in our economy before they even leave school. And then I have to say, we love our boys, but for all you girl dads out there and all you strong moms, we have to raise strong girls. And strong girls become strong women. Strong women become strong leaders. And none of that happens if we have biological boys playing in girls' sports. We've got to cut that out. And then when you look at our border, it doesn't even look like the United States of America anymore. It's a complete dereliction of duty. We've had 8 million illegal immigrants come to that border. We had enough fentanyl come to the border last year that would kill every single American. #1 cause of death for adults 18 to 45? Fentanyl. And don't think for a second China doesn't know what they're doing when they send it over. We need to deal with the border once and for all. When I was governor, we passed the toughest illegal immigration law in the country. President Obama sued us over it, and we won. We'll do that nationally. We did a mandatory E-Verify program that required every business to prove that they were in this country legally. We will defund sanctuary cities once and for all. No more safe havens for illegal immigrants. We'll put 25,000 Border Patrol and ICE agents on the ground and let them do their job. We'll go back to the Remain in Mexico policy so that no one even steps foot on U.S. soil. And instead of catch and release, we'll go to catch and deport. That's what will stop everything that's happening on the border. And then my mom always said, we should always take care of those who take care of us. But I'm going to ask you if we're taking care of those who take care of us. Right now in America, over 35,000 veterans are homeless. 1 in 3 suffers from PTSD or thoughts of suicide. We lose 22 heroes a day to suicide. If a veteran needs a doctor's appointment, on average, it takes 29 days to get one at the VA. Why 29 days? Because on the 30th day, they can go to the doctor or hospital of their choice. So midway through the 29 days, they get a call to reschedule, and the clock starts all over again. It's shameful how we treat our veterans. I'm the wife of a combat veteran. My husband served in Afghanistan, and the day he came home to us, that was prayers answered. But when we got home, life got hard. Michael couldn't hear loud noises. He couldn't be in crowds. Life had passed him by for the year that he was gone, and the transition was tough. We can't just love our men and women when they're gone. We got to love them when they come back home, too. That's why we need to do telehealth. Make sure they have the mental health care they need right when they need it. Let's make sure they can go to the doctor or hospital of their choice. They've earned that right. And I think the best way that we deal with VA health care, I think every member of Congress should have to get their health care from the VA, and you watch how fast that gets fixed. It'll be the best health care you've ever seen, guaranteed. And you look at all those things, and then you realize how little D.C. is doing. Don't you think it's finally time we had term limits in Washington, D.C.? Don't you think we need to have mental competency tests for anyone over the age of 75? Now, let me say this. I'm not being disrespectful when I say that. We all know people over 75 that can run circles around us. And then we know Joe Biden. These are people making decisions on our national security. These are people making decisions on the future of our economy. We need to know they're at the top of their game. I don't care if it's 50 and up. We need to be serious about who we're sending to D.C. And then there were two things when I was at the United Nations that Russia, China, and Iran never wanted us to have. They never wanted us to have a strong military, and they never wanted us to be energy independent. We won't be energy independent. We will be energy dominant. We will get the EPA out of our way. Right now, they care more about sagebrush lizards than they do about whether we can pay our utility bill. We'll start speeding up the permitting process. We'll start the pipelines, including the Keystone Pipeline. We'll export as much liquefied natural gas as we can. We'll do nuclear power. We will create an energy industry that is a powerhouse for our economy. It should be in all of the above. And when it comes to a good, clean environment, we want that too, but let's transition it. Let's do it the right way. Let's work with our producers instead of demonizing our producers. So we have the answers on domestic policy. Now let's talk about national security. The world is on fire, literally. You've got a war in Europe. You've got a war in the Middle East. You've got North Korea testing intercontinental ballistic missiles capable of hitting the U.S. You've got China on the march. But make no mistake, none of that would have happened had we not had that debacle in Afghanistan. The idea that my husband and his military brothers and sisters had to watch us leave Bagram Air Force Base in the middle of the night without telling our allies who stood shoulder to shoulder with us for decades because we asked them to be there. Think about what that told our friends. More importantly, think about what that said to our enemies. And now you have Congress saying, do we support Ukraine or do we support Israel? Do we support Israel or do we secure the border? Don't let them lie to you like that. That's a false premise and they know it. Now, I will be the first one to tell you, I don't think we should give cash to any country, friend or foe, because you can't follow it and you can't hold it accountable. If you are one of those people that says, why should we care about Ukraine? It's a legitimate question for you to ask. The problem is no one is giving you the answer, and I'm going to do that. We saw at the United Nations every day, terrorists, thugs, and dictators always tell you what they're going to do. They're amazingly transparent. Hamas said they were going to go into Israel. They did. China said they were going to take Hong Kong. Happened during COVID. Russia said they were going to invade Ukraine. We watched it. China says Taiwan is next. We better believe them. Russia said once they take Ukraine, Poland and the Baltics are next. Those are NATO countries. That puts America at war. This is about preventing war. It's always been about preventing war. Now, if we supported Ukraine with the equipment and ammunition they need, that's only 3.5% of our defense budget. That's all. The Europeans are putting in more than that, and they should. It's their neighborhood. Now when we talk about Israel, for anybody that says, why should we support Israel? God help us if we don't get this one right. Israel is a bright spot in a tough neighborhood. They are the tip of the spear when it comes to defeating terrorism. It has never been that Israel needs America. It has always been that America needs Israel. And on that horrific day of October 7th, when Hamas came in and beheaded those people and burned those babies alive and took those girls from that concert and raped them and dragged their naked bodies through the streets of Gaza, what did they say? Death to Israel, death to America. That's why we have to care. Now, if we support Ukraine and we support Israel, that's only 5% of our defense budget. Now, securing the border, priority number one. America's acting like it's September 10th, and we better remember what September 12th felt like, because it only takes one. So if we support Ukraine and we support Israel and we secure our borders, that's less than 20% of Biden's green subsidies. So don't let them tell you that you have to choose. A president and Congress needs to choose national security. A president in Congress needs to prevent war. A president in Congress needs to protect Americans. That's their job. There's a reason the Taiwanese want the U.S. and the West to support Ukraine, because they know if Ukraine wins, China won't invade Taiwan. There's a reason the Ukrainians want the U.S. and the West to support Israel, because they know if Iran wins, Russia wins, and they don't want that to happen. China, Russia, and Iran are bound together in an unholy alliance, and they're bound together in their hatred for freedom, for democracy, and for the United States of America. We can deal with it, but not by putting our heads in the sand, but by letting them know what we expect of them, by being strong. So we have the answers on what we need to do to get our country back on track. But we also need to acknowledge some hard truths. Republicans have lost the last 7 out of 8 popular votes for president. That's nothing to be proud of. We should want to win the majority of Americans. But the only way we're going to win the majority of Americans is if we have a new generational leader. We have to leave the negativity and the baggage behind and go forward with new solutions for the future. Another hard truth. I voted for President Trump twice. I was honored to serve America in his administration. But rightly or wrongly, chaos follows him. You know I'm right. Chaos follows him. And we can't have... We can't have a country in disarray and a world on fire and go through 4 more years of chaos. We won't survive it. And when you look at what America is telling us, 70% of Americans have said they don't want to see another Trump-Biden rematch. The majority of Americans think that having 2 80-year-olds running for president is not what they want. You've got 2 people who spent trillions of dollars putting us in debt that our kids are never going to forgive us for. Biden and Trump both did that. Then you go and you look at the fact we've got all these issues around the country and around the world, and what are Biden and Trump both focused on? Investigations, past issues, things that aren't taking us forward. We can either have more of the same, or we can say it's time to change and move forward. I think our kids want that. I don't want my kids to grow up like this. You know, 6 months ago, I dropped my husband Michael off at 4 a.m. for another year-long deployment. And I watched him and 230 soldiers pick up their 2 duffel bags of belongings to go to a country they'd never been, all in the name of protecting America. They're willing to sacrifice their lives and their families because they still believe in this amazing experiment that is America. So if they're willing to sacrifice for us there, shouldn't we be willing to fight for America here? Because we have a country to save. But in order to do that, it's going to take a lot of courage. Courage from everyone in this room. Courage for me to run. And courage for every one of you to know. Don't complain about what happens in a general election if you don't play in this primary. You can look at any of the head-to-head polls, any of them. Trump and Biden are pretty much even. On a good day, Trump will be up by 2 points. I am in every one of those same polls. And I defeat Biden by 17 points. Double digits in these polls. That's bigger than the presidency. That's House, that's Senate, that's governorships, that's school board. That's getting our country back on track. You win by double digits against Biden. We're going into D.C. saying no more wasteful spending. We're going to get inflation down. That's a mandate to go back and say we're going to get our kids reading again and go back to the basics in education. That's a mandate that says we're going to secure our borders with no more excuses. That's a mandate to bring law and order back to our country. And more than anything, that's a mandate for a strong America that we can all be proud of. Don't you want that again? Because we could have that again. And your time is Tuesday. We finished Iowa. They were good to us. We came out strong. Now we want to finish New Hampshire and come out even stronger. The weather's going to be nice on Tuesday. Chris already checked. So we need you to not just get out. We need you to get your family out. We need you to get your friends out because we could do this. Bless you. You know, someone asked me when I announced why I was running. And I said, my parents came here 50 years ago to an America that was strong and proud and full of opportunities. I want them to know that country again. I'm doing this for my husband, Michael, and his military brothers and sisters. I want them to know that their sacrifice matters. I want them to know that we love our country. I'm doing this for my daughter who just got married, and I saw how hard it was for her and her husband to buy a home. The average home buyer in America now is 49 years old. That American dream is getting further and further away. I'm doing this for my son who's a senior in college, and I'm tired of watching him write papers of things he doesn't believe in just to get an A. That's not us. That's not America. And for the first time, 81% of Americans don't think their kids are going to live as good of a life as we did. We can't be okay with that. I'm not okay with that. We do have a country to save. But I'll promise you this. If you join with us in this movement, if you join with us on Tuesday, I promise you that our best days are yet to come. Thank you very much. God bless you. Thank you so much. Thank you.